Art of Relationships radio show is copyrighted. No one is to use any part of the show without express written consent from myself, Greg Dzinski, or the Art of Relationships. Thank you.
Welcome to the Art of Relationships radio show. Greg has been a relationships expert guest host on numerous radio shows. He promises that this show is for you and to help listeners become more fulfilled, healthier, and happier in your relationships and lives. Licensed relationship and sex counselor Greg Dzinski. The Art of Relationships radio show will cover crucial elements in rebuilding emotional and physical intimacy, plus help in reigniting the passion in your romantic relationships. He also welcomes live calls from listeners in helping with these very challenges. No more tit-for-tat arguments. Greg gets to the root of couples' challenges in a rapid, matter-of-fact format, plus applies compassion and humor. Join in discovering how to improve your romantic relationship and your own life. Listen, laugh, and grow happier. Greg is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. To others, he's simply known as Master G.
Okay, 586. Oh, shoot, wrong number. Sorry, erase that. Give me a call, 313-614-9498. That was the old number. We're going to talk about, it might tick quite a few people off tonight, but I am going to talk, maybe not though, going to talk about what it means. I want to know your take on, reading some articles recently, and it's sort of on my Facebook. I talk about love and materialism and materialistic, and how many people, are okay. What does materialism, does it equal love in our society, in American culture, American, society? Does it mean that, would you want somebody to marry you, to be in a relationship with you, live with you? It doesn't matter, because of potential, because of the money you have, and maybe they're not, they're not really into you, but yeah, they want that comfortable lifestyle. They want that nice home, that nice car. They want, the nice bling bling on their finger, jewelry, diamond earrings. They want all this stuff, and does that equal love? So I want to talk about those aspects, and I touched on it a little bit in on my Facebook page under Greg Dzinski, DUDZINSKI, and I'd love to hear everybody's feedback on this, and if people, is that okay? Is that the American way? We all know, it's 2015 now. It is not the 1920s. It is not the 1800s, where women were limited, unfortunately, right to vote, employment, education aspects, and all this stuff. Now, being 2015, are you okay? And there's a bunch of, I talked about this numerous times about, the shows, the Cinderella story, Snow White, looking for your rich, wealthy Prince Charming and everything. Would you, just want somebody because of money? If you had money, would you want them to be okay? Would you be okay with someone just wanting you for the money? Yeah, you know what? I'm not really into you, but I'm going to fake it because of the lifestyle that I want. And I'm going to talk about some personality traits with materialism and people that want the bling bling materialistic, and their number one focus in life is money. Believe me, I like money too, but, is that the main focus? If I wanted rich, if money was my main focus, I would not be doing, I would not be in the career that I am in now. But it's a passion, serves a great purpose, helping people out. So, that is my focus. I want the love. I want the passion. I want the emotional connection. I want someone to be into me for me, not because of my potential, not because of wealth. Well, they can't be because I have no wealth. But you get my gist. Are you okay being that way? And I talked about this numerous human sexuality classes and other, radio show episodes over the year. And, is there a difference, being, taken care of financially and being maybe working on the street? That is going to maybe piss some people off. And I'm not saying I agree with that analogy or agree with that correlation, but I want to hear what your take is on that. join me in the live chat, and also you can give me a call at 313-614-9498. And I'd love to hear your take on that. And if you agree, disagree, you think I'm an ass or anything else for even bringing that, analogy up on there. And is it? And I'm going to talk about personality traits. People that, there's been studies done at BYU University. It's a very conservative college university in America. And other studies have been done, too, throughout the country about materialism and how that affects a marriage, how it affects a relationship. And what happens, say, materialistic everything, you got the, huge house, fancy cars, fancy clothes, diamonds. You're not hurting for money. You're rich and everything. Does that mean you're going to have a happier life? Does that mean you're going to have more connected love and a deeper, more passionate relationship on all levels than someone that, say, is maybe like myself, living week to week? And can you relate to that? And what would you rather have? We all want money. We all want to live. But would you like a loveless relationship or marriage with the hopes that you just, that you just are sold out, that you're bought and paid for? Or maybe you're the one with the money and the wealth, and you're buying and paying for that person to be with you just because of that money. And would you be okay with that? And I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear from people that this topic might piss them off, and maybe gain some insights too. Do you want to be like a kept woman, be bought and paid for, do whatever you can? And we go from TV shows like Modern Family and, talking about, I always say, Al Bundy, because that's who I remember him from, and his wife and everything on there that, stay at home, shop and all that stuff. Is that how many women would like that? Oh my God, would they give up their sense of self? Now, who has control over the relationship, the person with the money or not? Okay. I'm going to get back to maybe the psychological, the personality traits of materialism and everything else, and what a lot of people have found and researchers have found, that most individuals that have more of a strong love of money, strong love of materialism for goods, items, every house, clothes, all this stuff, money and all this stuff, that, especially when they say, you know what, I like to own things to impress people. How many out there are there? Or, money can buy happiness. My money is all about, it's a status symbol. And how many people are in relationships because of status? You know what, I can live in this area or that area, maybe a more affluent area, financially affluent area, and it makes me feel better about myself. It makes me feel more important. It's a status aspect, right? And how many people would be okay with that it can buy happiness? I'm all about it. If you can't, you can basically buy what you want, pay your bills, have a ton of money left over, not worried about it. It creates a lot less stress. But does that mean that you're going to have a happier life? You're going to be more in love? Ooh. Maybe some information I'm going to throw out at you might surprise you. Everybody assumes, right? Most people know, money can't buy you love, but there's a lot of people out there that are in that situation that stay in a loveless marriage or a loveless relationship because of financial reasons. I know that. I work with not only couples in situations like that, I work with individuals that they're in maybe a crap marriage, a crap relationship, and they're only staying because they can't afford to move on. And what do you do in that situation, right? What do you do to try to trigger and sort of run that out? And do you live that way? Would you be okay with that? I would love to hear your feedback, okay? Do do you agree with that? Would you be okay with that? Oh, my God, I'd love where I didn't have to work. I wouldn't have, and I'm not talking just women. I'm talking men, too. There's men out there, a lot of, couples I deal with that, the men out there, they don't want to work. They don't want to work, and the woman busts their ass. They work, maybe make good money, and they're taking care of their guy financially. Excuse me. And, you look at that situation that, I deal with many couples like that. And a lot of people are saying, what's going on? What the hell's going on? That, the guy doesn't want to work. He's lazy. He's all this. And, she stays. She's, and he cheats on her and all this stuff. And, uses her for money and all this stuff. And she still puts up with that. Hey, welcome, Princess Fu on the chat. And Shauna. Oh, welcome, Shauna. Hopefully you are liking the book you got. If you had a chance to start reading that, you're one of the winners. And we got a new, hey, great Al Bundy reference. I couldn't think of the dang character's name. I couldn't think of the dang character's name on Modern Family. So, taking care of the wife and all that. And with materialism and materialistic aspects, would you be okay with the situation? Would you be okay, being taken care of with all the money if there was no love, no passion, no chemistry? Would you feel like a kept woman or a kept man? Like I said, it's not a gender thing. There's men in that situation too, where, the woman could make, good money, CEO of a company, a president, vice president of a company, making really good money, and a guy doesn't want to work, wants to be taken care of, is lazy, just sits around, doesn't do that much situation. We have, I know Shauna mentioned in chat, like I said, I don't mention anybody's name without permission, and I know Princess Fu gave me permission to say her name freaking long time ago, and Shauna, a new listener, new follower, that she gave me permission as well. Hey, welcome, Rhonda, in chat as well. And we're talking about, and Shauna mentioned, I gave up a huge house, pool, cars, material things, and went to being a single mom, 4 kids, and fighting cancer. Oh, my God, Shauna. I walked out and never looked back. It was tough, but I couldn't trade material things for a marriage of lies. You know what, Shauna? That is so awesome. Now, were you the one making all those lies, or was he? No, I'm just bullshitting you. No, I give you a lot of credit, and I agree with that. I would not want someone to be with me because of like I said, everybody knows I'm freaking broke. I live week to week, and I'm not going to have somebody, Greg's going to be rich one day, so I'm going to be with them. If I thought that, and I thought they were the only reason they were going to be with me, you know what, they'd be dismissed and they'd be kicked to the curb. And yeah, huge welcome to Rhonda too. And join me on the live chat if you're using the Art of Relationships radio show's own app for Android, Apple devices, or Spreaker has the own app. They're all free. Join me on the live chat, and you can give me a call at 313-614-9498. I'd love to hear your feedback and questions, not only about materialism and love, if you'd be okay in that situation, being taken care of for money. Are you in a marriage? Are you in a relationship for the financial aspects of it, or to be taken care of? And it doesn't matter. Like I said, there's men in that do it. It's not always the women. Talk about gold diggers. The gold digger aspect can be men or women. So it is not a gender bias situation, okay? And what would you do? I agree, Fu. Money is not everything. It is a situation to where, it does, let's face it, it makes life less stressful, but it doesn't create an emotional connection. And going back to at the beginning of the show, I mentioned about materialism, and there's some correlations to personality traits that actually sort of destroy relationships. They're not good for relationships or marriage. Materialism, when you have a focus on, materialistic aspects, and money is it, believe it or not, they mention that, right? High levels of materialism, they tend to be what? Personality traits. They tend to be more narcissistic. They tend to be more emotionally immature, meaning that might mean they have a hard time relating to other people. They tend to be, when I say narcissistic in, in mannerisms, narcissistic in, maybe thought patterns, they tend to black out emotions. They don't have a hard time. They have a hard time relating to other people emotionally, their partner, whatever. So their partner may feel, and maybe Shauna might relate to this too, that they tend to be emotionally blunted. They think, okay, I buy you this, I buy you that. That's all you need, and there's no emotional connection. They don't. When I mean about emotional immaturity, they can't relate to you on emotional level, what your emotional needs are. It's almost like they don't care. I buy you money, I buy this situation, and that's it. And Fu mentioned, that's a great analogy, Fu. Thanks for helping me out on the chat when you mentioned about, they tend to be cold. They tend to be emotionally blunted where, okay, you have this great house, you have this great car, clothes, whatever you want, you should be happy. And you feel emotionally dead inside. You don't feel emotionally connected. And that's what I'm talking about. A lot of personality traits are very, very correlated to, with materialism, very much related to being emotionally blunted, emotionally cold, narcissistic aspects. And those tendencies kill a relationship. Now, if you have two people that are materialistic, what starts happening? You got a very shallow relationship. You have a very emotionless marriage. Now, this does not, now I'm going to refresh it. That doesn't mean, your focus is on wealth, money, and all that aspect. That doesn't mean everybody that is wealthy is emotionally cold or emotionally dead. They don't connect on emotional level. They don't have a heart. No, not at all. I'm just talking about people that, their main focus, materialism, their whole status aspect is about the haves, right? But they tend to have emotional deficits, huge, and it destroys marriages. That's, they might end up, a lot of affairs, a lot of everything, because they're missing something. They're missing the emotional connection that maybe as humans we all crave big time, okay? Oh yeah, and they do raise spoiled kids, Foo. Yeah, you remember the episode I did a long time ago about entitled Kids No More. Don't even get me going on that. And that's not only wealthy aspects, that's just emotionally spoiled kids too, getting their way. Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. But with the materialism and being, would you want that? Would you want the materialistic aspects if you didn't feel emotionally connected, emotionally involved, when you looked at each other's eyes, right? You looked into each other's eyes and you saw nothing, that you saw no connection. There's like, it's blank, there's dead. You look in their eyes and it's like you're seeing a cement wall. Would you be, as long as I have the money and as long as I can live how I want and all this stuff, would you still want that? And is there a relationship? You think about this. If you were in that situation and you were in, with the materialistic aspect and you want, and, that's all you wanted, you screw love and all this stuff, would that be the same as being a prostitute? I don't know. You tell me. I'd love to hear your feedback, or maybe that comment would just piss people off. You think about it. Is there any difference between the two, right? I'm throwing it out there, and I'd love to hear that. I would rather have true love. Money is nice as long as the monthly bills are paid. So, Rhonda, are you saying now, even if the monthly bills aren't paid, that you wouldn't love that person? No, Rhonda knows I'm being a smart ass. So, no, I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to hear some, maybe even disagreements about this. Is money, when you look at being in love and, the Snow White, the Cinderella stories of the rich prince and king and all this stuff, does that mean you would love, does that mean you fall in love with somebody because of that money and what you're looking for? And how many people look at their expectations of a relationship and marriage. Oh, I'm going to marry someone. I want my wife to be from a wealthy family. I want my husband to be from a wealthy family, to be a business owner that's wealthy, CEO, Bill Gates type thing, Steve Jobs, where they're wealthy in all this aspects. And everything else would fall into place. And if you were wealthy, would you be okay with someone just being with you, right, for your money? Ooh, for financial, let's face it, financial stability. I don't love my husband, I don't love my wife, but I can't leave because I can't afford it. So you stay. Would you want that person? Would you want that person to be with you because of that? Some people are okay with that. That's not for me. So anyway, I am going to take a little break. This is the Art of Relationships radio show coming to you live from Podcast Detroit Studios. I am going to be back in a few minutes. Thanks for joining me. Take a little breather, and we'll be back. Thank you. If you're looking for that unique, cool fashion statement, check out Shoes by Shay on Facebook. She has hand-painted, hand-designed canvas shoes for you, your loved one. It's an inspirational piece unique to your own taste. Check out Shoes by Shay on Facebook. Again, that's Shoes by Shay on Facebook. Sitting on the dirt floor. With my glutton consciousness, let you to believe deception. Our only vital principle, it was cheap, and I'm unstoppable.
She's sitting on the dirt-ridden floor, in her formal wear, and with one look, I swear she kills me. She's loud as hell, an embarrassment, one crazy bitch, but she's lovely, and she's addictive. My nicotine, the one from my dreams in the morning, and she's vindictive. She makes me wish that girls like this came with warning, and we drive each other absolutely insane, but it would be a crime for us to stay away. So I say, come here, can I have this dance? Is there room for romance and a spiteful little connection? Will you take my hand and we can pretend that there will never ever be any problem? 'Cause when I look into her eyes, I forget them, and when she spins into the light, I regret them. Pretend that everything is fine, we'll correct them. Oh, can I have this dance? She's a total lush, but she's such a riot, she just can't keep quiet about me. She's in love with the drama, but this way I don't have to pay for reality TV. She sleeps around, but hey, who doesn't? It's just better for when we're together. She lies to herself when she says that we won't stay in love forever, and we drive each other absolutely insane, but it would be a crime for us to stay away. So I say, come here, can I have this dance? Is there room for romance and a spiteful little connection? Will you take my hand and we can pretend that there will never ever be any problem? 'Cause when I look into her eyes, I forget them, and when she spins into the light, I regret them. Pretend that everything is fine, we'll correct them. Oh, can I have this dance? Whoa, you know, you got me going so. So I say, come here, can I have this dance? Is there room for romance and the spiteful little connection? Will you take my hand and we can pretend? So I say, come here, can I have this dance? Is there room for romance and the spiteful little connection? Will you take my hand and we can pretend that there will never ever be any problem? 'Cause when I look into her eyes, I forget them, and when she spins into the light, I regret them. Pretend that everything is fine, we'll correct them. Oh, can I have this dance?
Welcome back, everybody, to the Art of Relationships radio show. This is your host, Greg Tazinski, licensed professional counselor, relationship and sex specialist in downtown Detroit is where my office is. Make sure you check me out. My website is www.theartofrelationships.org. You check me out on Facebook, basically all over the place. Twitter, Instagram, trying to be social media attention, you know what. So we're talking about materialism and love, and if people, would you be okay in a relationship? You know, would you want someone that just wants you because of your money, because of everything else? And you know, the old situation, maybe you want to be motivated and motivated to serve, you know, to get a better life, to be more, you know, driven towards a career and all this stuff. And maybe it's more of a purpose and not for the money and everything. And Shauna mentioned, I love this situation. I talk about this all the time, actually, with clients about toxic relationships and students alike about toxic relationships. It's funny when people want to hold you back, and it could be family, friends, whatever, or it could be lovers, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. You want to advance and you want to be, you know, motivated towards a career. In Shauna's case, her book, you know, she's working on a book too, and all this stuff, and you have somebody that bashes you, said you live in a fantasy land, you shouldn't be, they're more threatened by an individual. And it could be, maybe women are more threatened by men, but it tends to be men might be more threatened and more intimidated by women that are more motivated to maybe advance their life, to better life, go after their passion and dreams. And those people you might want to stay away from. The true friends, true people that love you and want the best for you, want you happy, want to help you go after your dreams and goals and those aspects. So, you're right. I've heard it from men too. Yeah, where Scott mentioned. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned his name. Sorry. Hopefully it's okay. But we'll look at a situation where individual, they're in their 20s and everything. They're mentioned both, men and women, or maybe I should say boys and girls are saying, they want to marry a doctor or a lawyer, someone with money and all this aspect. And that's been going on since the beginning of time, and it's sort of sad to see it's still going on now. And it's nice. It'd be really cool to see if people, I'm going to marry a doctor or a lawyer, all this stuff, because of the power, the prestige, the status that goes along with those titles, that how are they raised? Are they raised to be spoiled little brats? And when I mean brats, that's not a gender thing. It's boys or girls. I'm not saying men or women, because I don't believe those individuals are men or women. Those are children. And that has no bearing on an age situation. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to be pissing some people off, but that's just me being politically incorrect, okay? And going back to, with the materialism in the personality traits, before the break I mentioned about being, more narcissistic in nature, more, cold, as Fu mentioned, that, it's all about the money. It's all about materialism, all about status. And they tend not to relate to each other, emotionally, that there's no emotional connection, that they tend to be cold. They lack empathy. And it's like, okay, you have this, you have, money, nice car, nice clothes, like I mentioned before break. And the person's unhappy because they feel lonely in the relationship. They don't feel connected. They feel like it's more of a business transaction, and that is it. Now, would you, Scott, thanks for, I can say your name on chat now, or you're on chat. Make sure you join us. There's a couple people on chat already on the Art of Relationships radio show's own app for Android and Apple devices. Also, Spreaker, Spreaker. They have a free app, too. You can join us on the live chat or on Spreaker.com and search for the Art of Relationships radio show, or you can search for my name, Greg Dazinski, and you can join me on live chat. At this time, those are the only avenues you join me on live chat, and as always, you give me a call, 313-614-9498, and ask me any questions you have, help you out in your relationship or even in your life. Would be cool, and your name will remain anonymous. I want to protect your privacy, and if you mention your name, you know what, that's cool with me. I don't care, but I'm not going to ask to protect your privacy, okay? And the personality traits, when you look at, everything that go along with people that are more focused on making money, how many, materialistic, that it's all about, especially, when people want to feel better about themselves and they're doing it for themselves, that might be a different aspect. But when you're looking at, especially, research that's been done year after year and everything, that when you're more keyed in on the money because it's a status symbol, or you want a job, say, like Scott mentioned earlier with, friends in the 20s and stuff, I want a doctor or a lawyer. It's all about the status, to feel like, my husband, my wife is a lawyer or a doctor. It's all about a status symbol. But what the hell does that say about you? That you're good enough. And are you using that person? Do you really love them, or are you bullshitting yourself that, I really love that person, we have this perfect life? And how many people have this facade that, we have this perfect life? And I deal with those situations big time. Hey, Princess Fu on chat, what the heck was that? Okay, you text something in the chat, and I have no idea what the heck it is. But you look at the situation that, you have this image, right? We have all this money, we have this big house, fancy car, status, and I have, it's a butt text, okay, in chat. Sorry, people. But, you have this image, we have this perfect life, we have all these money, wealthy, and I have this arrogant, narcissistic attitude that I am better than you because I am rich, I drive this car, wear these clothes, have this frickin' 8-carat diamond ring, all this aspect. That is, it's shallow. It's very, what's the other word I want to say? It's very cold, and it's a facade because, if you're looking at that as a status symbol and you're all about that and you're a bitch or a dick, that doesn't tell me much about your character, except it's very shallow. It's very blunted, very, it's a lame sense of character, sense of self that you have. It's false. It's fake. Because if that materialism happens to go away, where are you left as a person? Where are you left as an individual? And would you, going back into, does materialistic equal love? The subject of the show, is that what you're looking at to equal love? True love is I have this car and they buy me this, they buy me that. Yeah. And how many people really know situations that go into that? And if you're focused on building a materialistic presence or facade, and it's all about you and about status, what happens to your energy level? Do you have any energy level when that's all you're focused? Do you have any energy level to try to get emotionally connected to one another, to your lover, to your partner? Do you have the energy? Do you have any focus left to give it to somebody else, to share that on that level? It's going to be very, very difficult, okay? When you're looking at, you're only impressing people based on the money aspect. How many people know somebody, if you're on chat or, pipe in. Let me know on chat, if you know people in that situation. Maybe I don't, because I don't know really any rich people. So, but you look at, their identity and how do they focus. And I look at not only materialistic, narcissistic aspect, but I look at how they treat other people, how they treat maybe waitresses, waiters, cashiers, going to frickin' stores, grocery stores, whatever. Maybe they have someone doing that for them. But, how they treat other people. And it's almost like the attitude or the emphasis that Albert Einstein said, I treat everybody, no matter if they're the president or the janitor, I treat everybody the same, that they're important. Everybody has a purpose. And I love that philosophy, and that's how I do. Scott, you mentioned there is no love for someone on a material basis. It's a love for getting whatever you want from the partner. Ooh, you might have to clarify that. I think I know what you mean on that, Scott. Is it true love? And what's the essence of true love? We talk about, can money buy love? Is it really, it's not love, is it? You're buying their time, you're buying their presence, but do you actually have their heart, their soul, their caring, their compassion for you? Ooh, can you buy those things, okay? So, like I said, if you have a love of, your whole focus is materialistic, is it the love of money, you tend to be more, you tend to be less in tune to each other's emotions and feelings, that you don't care. I'm not saying you don't. Maybe you don't, but it tends to be that way, okay? And it creates just a business-like partnership. And there's couples in that situation that they're okay with that. You know what? She pays all the bills, works, I can stay home, whatever. And, it's like a business relationship. Or maybe certain individuals, they call it what? Ooh, we're only living as roommates, right? Material love is loving what you get object-wise. There is little to no love for that person they are taken advantage of. I agree with that, Scott. And that's, that's her huge, insight too. And I agree with that aspect. Like I mentioned, for myself, this is just me on a personal level. Forget about the professional level that, I am not going to be with somebody that just wants a free ride, that wants some money. I want a partnership on all levels, not just to be taken care of by any means. I'll say you're dismissed. Peace out, baby. But, with the business partnership, who is in control, right? Who is in control? And does materialism and money, when you're building that status, when you're looking at status, is that a substitute? And I think Scott was getting on this too. Is that a substitute for true love, for the true emotional connection, the togetherness? Is that materialism and the money, is that a substitute for feeling together, for feeling, not alone? Oh, if I'm lonely or whatever, how many people end up, I don't feel connected. I don't feel, I feel alone in a relationship. So guess what? I have this void. I have this empty feeling. So I'm going to go out and buy this, buy that. And are you okay with that? The last year I was with the kid's dad. It was for the money because I had one. I had a what? Oh, sorry, Sean. I mentioned. Oh, the last year I was with the kid's dad. Oh, it was for the money. Oh, I had a 1-year-old. I hated him for his disconnection. I get that, Shauna, and I get that big time. And it's very difficult when you feel so disconnected. I don't want that. I want maybe I'm selfish too on an emotional level. I want someone to caress me, to make me feel important, desired, and my needs are important too. It's not all one-sided. And when you're looking at materialistic, like I said, if the materialism goes down, economy goes in the toilet, whatever, what do you have left? Maybe that's a sign to show, if that person is into you because they love you, or it's just what they're getting from you, materialistic ways, right? And like I mentioned, I think, when it comes to individuals that are all about just money, if you want to say gold diggers, whatever, men, women that are in that situation, you learn real quick, what is missing, how you're not getting. Now, how do you get rid of that person, right? Oh, you can get rid of me. You can, it's going to be spousal support. It's going to be this. You can buy me off and I'll be gone. Then they're looking for somebody else. So it's not, how many people would be okay in that relationship? And I want to, those individuals on chat, maybe Princess Fu, Shauna, even Scott, and Rhonda that are on the live chat, maybe you clue me in. Do you know anybody that are men or women that are in that situation? They're only in a marriage or relationship because of the money, because they don't want to sacrifice their status, their yeah, I'm clearing my throat for a reason. Their standard of living. Ooh. How many, I want to hear this. How many people know somebody that are in that situation? And I can, like I mentioned before, I have single clients that, or I shouldn't say, I have clients as individuals, there we go, that are in relationships and marriage where they don't really, they might like that partner, they're not in love with them, and they're staying just because of them. Oh, I don't want to give up the house. I don't want to give up the car. I don't want to give up my standard of living. And if I heard that from a lady I was with, you know what? You are dismissed. You are done. I don't want, no way. That's, like I said, but am I biased in that situation? That's my own personal viewpoint. My professional one is, maybe some people are okay with that because, you know what? Oh, I'm okay with that money. It's like a business transaction. Maybe you don't want the love, or maybe it's okay for you to pay for that love. And you know what? Are you buying love? No, you're just buying time, buying attention. And it's just like you are buying maybe someone on the street, like a prostitute, male or female. Princess Fu, I know several, Princess Fu on chat just mentioned, I know several women that get treated like crap but won't leave because of the money. Great that's great insight, Fu. And I know a lot of people in that situation as well. And I mentioned, it's about, who is in control in that situation. Who is in control? The person that has the wealth, the money, or is it the person that is just using that other one for the money and all this stuff? I have a question. I want to talk about, is it okay? Say you have money, money is very subjective, right? As far as wealth, right? You could, maybe have a month in savings and feel very secure, very whatever. I would love that right now. But it could be you're a millionaire. Everybody has subjectivity of what, wealth is, okay? And you look at the situation to where, would you, if you had money and you didn't want a gold digger, is it okay to test a person? Unwillingly test a person to see if they just want you for your money. Is that being rude? Is that being fake? Is that being, are you putting up a front that you're testing somebody to see if they want you just for your money? Or is that legit? If they really wanted you and like you, would they understand? Would you do that? If you ever had that happen to you, being, a man or woman, a guy had a lot of money and just wants to know if you are into him just because he is wealthy or has money, or a doctor, lawyer, as Scott mentioned before, or a status symbol. And he sort of tests you to see if you're just into it for that. Would you be okay with that? Would you understand him wanting you to love him for him and not for the money? I want to hear if it's okay to test somebody like that, or is that rude? Is that being fake? Is that being insensitive? I would love to hear that, okay? Shauna, you mentioned, I have a friend who has stayed with a man who had an affair with another man. Oh, I can tell you stories like that left and right, Shauna. Wonder if it's a couple of the same guys I know. No, she lives in denial. She has a huge house on the lake, house in Florida, and she wants for nothing. She stays for the lifestyle, knows he's looking at gay porn and seeing other men. I can tell you, Shauna, you know what? I don't like that situation. I know too many people actually that are in that situation. I wouldn't say too many, but more than a handful that are into that, where they know their partner, husband or wife, is lesbian or gay, and it's almost like it is. It's like a understanding. It's like a business transaction, and it's sad. And I am not into that at all. It is a very difficult situation, and Fu mentioned, Sean, I hope your friend is not sleeping with him at all. And Fu, and doesn't, if you're hitting on the HIV and, STD aspects too, it's not, there's women, men, heterosexual relationships that, if they cheat, whatever, they can pass diseases or whatever. It's not necessarily just if you're hitting on, the gay or homosexual communities. That's not it at all. That can happen actually across the board with any sexual orientation, okay? Scott, you mentioned, I love my mom, but to be brutally honest, she got with him initially for health insurance and financial stability. By the time I was 18, they resented each other. Oh, my God. You know how many times they do that? Oh, my God, I need health insurance. I want that. And I can pretend to love you. Maybe I will fall in love with you. And if the guy doesn't know that, or maybe the woman in that situation, can you be fooled and think somebody is in love with you? Or does that say something more about you as far as your insecurity? And, how many people out there think that even being wealthy, that they're secure, they're, very confident in themselves because of that money, whatever. There might be people out there that have wealth, have, a lot of money, whatever situations, and they're insecure. Do you know that? Where they're, okay, I'll pay money for someone to be with me, eye candy or whatever, because of my insecurities. I need to do this, or I need people to, you know what, I'm going to give out this money. I'm going to pay for this, buy her this, buy all this stuff, or him this stuff. And their insecurity keeps allowing it. It's almost like being a doormat. And those situations, being a doormat has nothing to do with money, but it can be. You can be wealthy and thinking, you're wealthy financially, materialistic aspect, but you're a doormat, allowing people to use you as maybe being a gold digger. And it's also friends, family in those situations when you're wealthy. Do they really like you for you, or is it just for your money? And all of a sudden, when you cut them off financially, you start learning, right? You start learning real quick, who your friends are, who really likes you for you and not just financially for that, right? You can resent someone even when you get married absolutely. Absolutely. You can resent anybody, even if you get married for love. You can resent them because if that love changes or you're not getting your needs met. Absolutely. That, I agree. It's not necessarily a materialistic avenue. It is more of, it's more of a relationship thing, I think, versus a dealing with materialism and dealing with being with someone because of money or because of wealth or because of status. And I think in America, primarily, maybe, in other cultures, it's not as prevalent in dealing with, clients from, a variety of cultures, being Mexican, being, Asian, maybe, they moved to this country and I see them from, Puerto Rico, even though that's part of the United States now. It never used to be. It's more Latin based. And you look at situations, are people culturally, do they have the same status or the same identity, that people in America have as far as, I'm marrying someone because of status. I want someone with this much money, this type of career, all those aspects. And are you, or is that just an American thing? Again, I'd love to hear your comments. I'm going to take another break, and I want to hear you. Give me a call, okay? After the break, make sure you write the number down, 313-614-9498. And you also can give me your comments in the live chat through the Apple or Android app for the Art of Relationships radio show or through Spreaker. But I want to know, is it okay or is that bogue to test somebody if they only want you because of your status, your title, being a doctor, a CEO, vice president, president of a company, bank, whatever it is, or maybe who your family is? Is it okay to test somebody if they are really into it for you, or is that being bogue, or is that not the right way to do it? Is that being fake, or is that being smart to test somebody to see if they're just into it? If they're just into it for you, okay? So I'm going to be back in a few minutes. This is the Art of Relationships radio show. Thanks for listening up to this point. I'll be back in a few minutes after this break. Thank you. If you're looking for that unique, cool fashion statement, check out Shoes by Shay on Facebook. She has hand-painted, hand-designed canvas shoes for you, your loved one. It's an inspirational piece unique to your own taste. Check out Shoes by Shay on Facebook. Again, that's Shoes by Shay on Facebook.
sex.
This is just another song you'll never hear about a girl I've never met. This is just another lie whispered in your ear so you'll think that I can make it. This is just another ride taken by surprise with no clear end in sight. This is just an empty line you've heard a million times that I've used to make it right. A chance meeting in a parking lot, getting high off of a pointless talk.
You remind me of the songs I used to fall asleep to. A perfect vision of the melodies that I would sing to. And I've been using every trick I know to send a message through the radio. This is just a sad attempt, an evening spent at trying to catch your eye. And this is me crying out for attention so you don't just pass me by. This is just a lucid dream I've made to seem like the best parts of life. And this is just an empty hand with spaces for your fingers laced with mine. Excuse me, I think you're the one I'm meant to find in this life, but I've been lost for quite a while. 'Cause you remind me of the songs I used to fall asleep to. A perfect vision of the melodies that I would sing to. And I've been using every trick I know to send a message through the radio. And I've been talking to strangers, trying to find the same kind of thrill that you provide. I'll leave it alone, I'll give it some time.
only trick I know to send a message through the radio.
Nobody wants to hear me sing, right? This is the Art of Relationships radio show, and I'm your host, Greg Dzinski, licensed professional counselor here in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, downtown Detroit people. So if you're in the area, I also do Skype sessions and telephone sessions as well. Take numerous insurances, EAP programs, and actually take HSA and FSA cards, which are health savings accounts, and those I take them as well. So if you're looking for help in your relationship, if you're dealing not only with relationship aspect, if you're dealing with loss and grief issues, or been through a traumatic experience, I'd be more than happy, be very flattered to help you out and hopefully get your life back on track and get through all those aspects, okay, and rebuild happiness and sense of self, okay. Oh, Scott mentioned before he left, Greg, I'm forever looking for that sugar cougar mama. Oh boy. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no kidding. No, Rich. I'd like to try to see what it'd be like to be rich, right? Maybe one day. But yeah, like I said, I want somebody that is, a personal level. Sorry, people. I want it. Some people are okay. You know what? I know they love me just for money and are with me just for my money, my status, and I'm okay with that because, they look hot, they look whatever. It's a sugar mama thing. It's a, cougar. It's a status aspect. And you know what? I'm okay with that because she or he makes me look good too, right? Ew, boy. Some people are into that situation. And I mentioned, right before the break, I talked about a question that I had. Is it okay to test somebody? Ooh. And how do you do it? Is it okay to test somebody if they are just into you for what you have, for maybe the title, the position you have in a company? Maybe you own your own business. Is it okay to test them that they're just looking for you because of the status, and it sort of reflects on them, and they just want you for your money? Is it okay to test people in that situation, or is that being a bitch, or is that being a dick? Is that being cold? Is that being not right, being fake or anything? Or, let's face it, is it fake for them to just want you for your money and everything? So we can flip that script around, whatever. Rhonda, you mentioned a while, right during the break, whatever, you mentioned test them. How else will you know if they are with you for a free ride? I wish I hadn't have been so weak and stupid. Rhonda, you are not stupid, so knock it off. Your big heart, been through a lot of stuff, okay? I thought the guy I was with loved me. He just liked me, living for free while I pay the bills, and I'm not into that. And that's where, it's hard, because when we have, a self-esteem is in the toilet and all that, we tend to do stuff. We sell ourselves out. We sell our integrity out. We sell our sense of self out, and our confidence, let's face it, goes down the toilet. And I get that, okay? But this is what the show is all about, and this is what I do to try to build confidence, to build self-esteem, and still maintain, you're a compassionate, empathic person. But you're not going to be a doormat. You're going to be okay by saying no and setting boundaries for yourself. And going back onto this, I think in certain situations, if someone, do you trust your gut instinct? Is that person really into you, or is it because of what you provide them? Materialistic aspects. The topic of tonight's show is, about materialism and love, and do they go hand in hand, or are they totally separate? Ooh, and it goes to the point of being, compatibility, with compatibility, you want the same thing. You have the expectations, right, of what it takes to have a happy, healthy, passionate, loving, freaking sex-filled, oh yeah, baby, relationship or marriage. And, is that one of your expectations? You know what? I get taken care of and I'm okay with that. I'll kiss your ass, do whatever you want as long as you take care of me financially and give me whatever I want, materialistic ways. Is that really love? And, would you want to be with somebody like that? And going back to, the question was about testing somebody. If someone was testing you because of looking for money, testing you if you were just into them for their status, being a doctor, lawyer, a wealth aspect, you just wanted them for their money, that type of aspect, and you were tested by that person, would you be pissed or would you understand? How many people, maybe the ones that are looking for materialism and are looking for that status aspect, be a gold digger, man, woman, whatever, maybe they would be pissed if they were getting tested because they'd be found out. And maybe they'd get defensive. Maybe they would get pissed. And maybe the ones that truly want somebody because they like them, they love them, they, really are into them as a person, not about the money aspect. Maybe they would be more understanding. And you know what? I get why you're doing it, but no, I love you for you and all this stuff. It's almost like, what is it? Pretty Woman type thing with Richard Gere and, God, I can't even think of her name. Roberts. I know that's her last name, but I can't even think of her frickin' first name. But it doesn't. People know that, been around long enough. Pretty in Pink and all this stuff. And not Pretty in Pink. That's it. I'm sorry, Pretty Woman. Where she was a prostitute and all this stuff. And you look at the situation to where she didn't want him to buy her. He wanted love, wanted the fairy tale, whatever. But would she really love him if he didn't have that money? I don't know. And that's the big battle going back and forth. Julia Roberts. Thanks, Shauna. That's it. I couldn't think of her name. I had a brain fart. I was thinking Jennifer, and I knew that wasn't it. Julia Roberts. Thank you. Oh, absolutely. We have thank you for joining us. Absolutely. You can always ask questions not related to the topic, okay? Not at all. That's what the Art of Relationships show. We have a new individual on chat, and I'm not going to mention the name because this is, like I said, I want to protect your identity and your confidentiality. Names you hear, on chat, I say so-and-so, like Rhonda, Shauna, Princess Fu that are on chat, I give them, they gave me permission to use their name. So, but if you give me permission to use your name, I will do that. But if not, it stays confidential, okay? But it was that. Can I ask an off-topic question? Absolutely, you can ask an off-topic question. The radio show is all about you. And it doesn't matter what the theme or the topic of the evening is. And I mentioned this on my Facebook, too. Every time I post the show or topic for the show, you can always ask me questions. Definitely. Any questions you have, I'd be more than happy to try to help you out, okay? So, individual on chat, please ask. Whatever your question is, I'll do the best I can to answer it, respectfully, honestly, and, compassionately, along with maybe being blunt, too. So, please, you can also give me a call, too, if that's easier. It's 313-614-9498. And the live chat, of course, is on Spreaker, Spreaker's app, the Radio Show's own app, and Spreaker.com, okay? We're talking about materialism and, love and all this stuff. And, is it okay to test somebody? And I really think that some people might be pissed, but it's funny. I think the ones that'll be pissed, and I could be totally wrong, I think the ones that would be pissed are the ones that might be the gold diggers, might be, oh my God, they might be fronting and playing a game, maybe not a game, and they get defensive because they're found out. But it comes to the situation to where, you know what? Oh my God, I found out. How dare you do this? But maybe people that are legit and genuine, that really are into you, really love you, like you, whatever, not just for you as a person, not because of what you have. Maybe they would be understanding. May get the fence. I can't believe you think I'm this way, and they'll get all this way, okay? That's just my take on this, okay? And we have a question in chat I want to answer and try to help somebody out. What does it mean when someone tells you that they feel claustrophobic in our bedroom and it had nothing to do with the size of the room? This is actually a very, very good question. When they tell you they feel claustrophobic in our bedroom, is it that they feel like no space and that maybe they feel like an individual is maybe overly clingy, more emotionally clingy, that they have no space to breathe? Meaning, some people, they can be very cuddly, very, they sleep together, arm in arm, head on shoulder, on their chest. And I, me being a man, I love that. A lot of, not just me being a man, I love, if the woman, sleeps with her chest or her chest, her chest on my face. There we go. Sorry. No. If her head on my chest, oh boy, being a smart ass, I'm getting tired and slap happy. But, say, you sleep arm in arm, cuddled together. Some people are like that and they love that. It's okay. Other people might cuddle for a while and then they want their own space. And that's where they, that's where they sleep separate. They might, I want my space when it's time to go to bed. I want to sleep. Don't touch me. Don't whatever. That could be the claustrophobic aspect. So I would need to know a little more, nope, very separate sleepers. I get that situation. I would want to know, do they feel claustrophobic in the relationship as a whole, right? Even outside the bedroom, do they feel claustrophobic that way? Or is it just in the bedroom and it has nothing to do with the size of the room? And some people if they feel claustrophobic, even say in the bedroom, and it has nothing to do, like you mentioned, nothing to do with the size of the room, it could be maybe emotional aspect where they feel scared. They feel more emotionally, I'm not going to say trapped, but they almost feel like, they feel vulnerable. They feel like if they can get closer to you emotionally, more in love, whatever, that they can feel claustrophobic. And let's face it, they can be just scared to death, scared shitless of being hurt, being let down, being disappointed by being that close. So I would look at all these aspects to look at, is it emotionally? Is it, that's the first thing I would look at. When someone feels claustrophobic in a situation, I would want to know, okay, do they feel claustrophobic only in the bedroom, or do they feel claustrophobic in a relationship? And it's all, you can have someone that's very clingy, very insecure, and always wanting no separate time whatsoever, no space, no whatever. Very, very emotionally needy. That can make someone claustrophobic. But I would want to know, number one, do they feel claustrophobic outside the bedroom, or is it only in the bedroom? Do they feel claustrophobic in the kitchen, living room? All these elements, and I would hit on the emotional elements first. And some people, even like if it's in a specific room, in a specific, say, a bedroom, if it's, maybe pitch black in the bedroom, they might feel uneasy, unsafe. And it's sort of weird. It's not it's not a maturity aspect by any means. It could be just a sense of self. And we don't know, it could be from past traumas in life, traumatic events. There's a lot of things that go on, but I would first hit on the emotional aspect and try to find out exactly, what it is. Do they feel emotionally trapped, emotionally vulnerable, and it scares them? I would hit on those aspects, okay? And that's where I would go first, but there's so many things, that go on, but I would hit on that because some people, at first, do they feel that way in a relationship as a whole, or is it just in the bedroom? Then I would go on to emotional levels from there, okay? And you can also, you can hit me up on Facebook, after the show and everything too, or whatever, where if you do ask him, you can give me an email at Greg, Greg, at theartofrelationships.org. You can also private message me on Facebook as well, and any insights. I try to help when I can, okay? Shauna mentioned, are they okay in the room on their own or just claustrophobic when you are both together in the room? Just curious. And Shauna, that's a great question. And that's, that's a very, very good, insightful question. I like that. That's a great question to ask them. Along with, sort of tie that in, like I said, is it just, do they feel claustrophobic in a relationship, like they're not getting enough emotional space, or is it emotional vulnerability? And do they, that ties into, is it just specifically in the bedroom, or if it's outside the bedroom? Maybe he might, mention he feels claustrophobic in the bedroom. Is that the only place? And does he feel claustrophobic alone and on any other places? Does he feel claustrophobic? Some people could be claustrophobic in the car when maybe all the curtains are drawn and the doors closed. Everybody's different, but I would hit on those questions. Shauna's question's a great question, too, about, do you feel claustrophobic in the bedroom when you're alone or together? And also, is it the only environment that he feels that way in? So there's a lot of things, a lot of questions that you could ask to help the situation out. Please don't try to attack him. If that makes sense, ask. I tell couples all the time, oh my God, you feel claustrophobic, and you get defensive. I get that. It's easy to do when we feel insecure. We feel like, oh my God, they feel claustrophobic and it's me. They don't love me. They don't want to be with me. And it might not have anything to do with you. It might, but I want you to go from it from a learning perspective, okay? I want you to hit on that you're learning what it is, what's causing it, instead of attacking a right or wrong situation, from couples. Even if there's an issue with, say, the claustrophobic feeling, that is something to work on. That is the issue. That is the enemy, if you will. They might be strong, but it's the enemy. It's not him that's the enemy. It's not you that's the enemy. And if you both want to work on it as a team, you want to look at it and take it from the perspective that you want to learn, because you care, right? You want to learn, is there anything I can do to help? Is it, so hit on those avenues. And if it is the situation where he starts feeling claustrophobic in the relationship, look at what you can do. Or is it just his way of saying, what, he's not happy, or that situation? I don't want to throw that up there, but I'm going to be blunt and honest as well too. Is it just him? Some people get in a relationship and then they find out, what, they'd rather be single than they get in another one. It's almost like a somewhat of a game, or somewhat, they get lonely for a bit, get in a relationship, then they get claustrophobic or antsy, and then they get out and they always want something new and something more exciting type of aspect. And then you deserve, you deserve to be loved and stuff on your terms too, okay? Foo, oh, thank you. Always helping people learn. Awesome. Oh, Foo, thank you. I try. That's, you've known me for a little bit, you and Chip, Foo, and I'm all about trying to help people. And, I want people happy and healthy and feeling loved. And if they don't feel loved, or, feel loved and desired, and the other person could care less about trying to get them that way, you deserve better in that situation, okay? But yeah, like I said, hit me up give me an email, follow-up email, anything I can do to help, and private message me. Now, I can't, time-wise, but, no money, whatever, that situation. I can't, go on. It's just unrealistic. I help when I can, but it can't always turn into a long, counseling session, whatever, because I do, unfortunately, need to make a living. But I'll do the best I can to help you out in that situation, okay? But those are good questions. Shauna had an awesome question. So hopefully tie that in with those aspects too, okay? You want to learn from, learn what is causing it, what maybe your role is playing the claustrophobic. Has he ever felt this way before? And not that you want to talk about other relationships. Has he ever felt this way being alone, being single, or being in another relationship? Has he ever felt this way? These are all dynamics that you can hit on. Learn from that, okay? Learn why he might feel this way and what your role is, or maybe it's just not working out for him or you. But look at all these aspects, okay? I am going to say good night for the evening. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. Like always, the show is all about you, the listeners out there trying to help you. I appreciate the question. On the chat individual, I appreciate you joining the live chat too. Like I said, it doesn't matter what the topic of the show is. I want to try to help the listeners out there. You can always, call during the live show, enter a chat. Hit me up on Facebook too, or, my email address on my website, theartofrelationships.org. And hit me up on Facebook, everything else, okay? The show is all about you. It's all about the listeners out there to help you, to try to make your lives happier, more complete, more satisfied, more depth, more pizzazz in your life, and feeling better about yourself and in your relationships. Not only romantic relationships, maybe it's, you want to get closer with your sibling, a sibling, maybe parent-child relationships, maybe friends. You had a fight and you want to get reconnected. The show is all about you, okay, to help people out in a situation. So this is Greg Dazinski, licensed professional counselor in Detroit, Michigan. I am a relationship and sex specialist. I also specialize in grief, loss, and trauma, okay? Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. Hopefully tonight gave you some insight, something to think about, especially with materialistic aspects and love. And, maybe you're going to look at, I want this, and I'm not letting loose my standards whatsoever, and this is what I want, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. Ooh, boy, good luck. I feel sorry for the person you're going to end up with, okay? I don't want anyone to cut their standards out. That isn't what I'm talking about, okay? But are you doing it out of love, or are you doing it out of status and materialistic aspects? You boy, if that's the case, peace out. Good luck to you. I know it's not that easy, but everybody have a good night. Much love to everybody out there. Thanks for listening again, okay? Take care. The Art of Relationships radio show is copyrighted. No one is to use any part of the show without express written consent from myself, Greg Dazinski, or The Art of Relationships. Thank you.